When someone is diagnosed with lung cancer, it doesn't just affect the patient, it changes the lives of everyone around them.
Behind every treatment, every doctor's visit, and every tough day is often an unsung hero, the caregiver.
Whether it's a spouse, it could be a sibling, friend, or even an adult child, caregivers provide emotional strength, physical support, and constant encouragement, often while juggling their own work and responsibilities.
LCFA illuminates the vital role caregivers play in the lung cancer journey and how their support can make all the difference in a patient's fight.
Check out this clip from a recent LCFA Hope with Answers podcast spotlighting the importance of caregivers.
What was your goal when you wrote your recent book called Stand By Me, A Guide to Navigating Modern, Meaningful Caregiving?
There's many reasons why I wrote the book, but perhaps the most important for me to share with you is I realized, and this was particularly when we went into lockdown during the pandemic, that we were at Sloan Kettering only scratching the surface in meeting the demand for psychosocial care for family caregivers of patients with cancer. And I wanted to do something much more to assist caregivers across the country, caregivers in the trenches, caregivers who do not have access to high quality psychosocial care, whose care partners are not receiving cancer care at a major cancer center like Sloan Kettering or MD Anderson. And so Stand By Me in many ways is a Cliff Notes version to the type of training and education and support and validation that one would get should they come to the Caregivers Clinic. And I wanted to make that accessible to caregivers across the US and across the world. So that's probably the most important thing for me to say about why I wrote the book.
What's your goal, Dr. Applebaum, of starting a caregiver clinic like this? What is it that you hope to happen? And have you seen any aha moments or amazing results from starting the clinic?
I don't just have one goal, not surprisingly. My mission for my career is to assure that no caregiver has to seek mental health care and psychosocial support outside of the hospital system where their care partner is receiving care. And the reason that is my mission is that we know that caregivers suffer. We know that caregivers are at risk for their own mental health challenges. A large and growing body of literature, both within cancer care and non-cancer, indicates that diagnostic rates of anxiety and depression and even post-traumatic stress disorder are actually higher in caregivers than the patients for whom they provide care. We know that the distress can be profound, and when it's left untreated, it can increase exponentially and not only have very negative effects on caregivers themselves, but certainly have downstream negative effects on the patients for whom caregivers are providing care. And so my goal in developing the clinical service I did at Sloan Kettering, the clinical service I've just opened here at Mount Sinai, and my mission is to have these clinics across the country, is to basically to prevent those poor outcomes. We can't prevent all distress, of course. Caregiving is certainly something that touches each and every one of us, but we can prevent severe mental health challenges. We can prevent depression and anxiety. We can give caregivers the tools and coping strategies that they need to cope more effectively with the inevitable challenges down the line.
Gail and Jim, thank you for joining us for this discussion about caregiving. Gail, let's start with you. Take us back to the day Jim was diagnosed with lung cancer. What was the first thought that went through your mind?
The first thought when he said he was told he had cancer and he said, "I've got cancer," it was shock, disbelief. In that one moment, our whole world turned completely upside down.
Well, and I know that for a lot of caregivers, they feel guilty over some of the negative feelings. And sometimes they even feel resentful. I just wondered, have you experienced this and how do you deal with those feelings?
Absolutely, I've experienced it. Lots of resentment and guilty sometimes when I go out and do things and I know he's sitting at home by himself and I feel guilty about that, but then again, it's like, okay, so am I supposed to not live anymore too? I mean, I don't know, that's always a challenge, wondering about that. How do I handle it? Not well a lot of times. A lot of times it's feeling sorry for myself or just, again, feeling resentful. Other times I get together with friends. I mean, I'm on a ladies golf league. So I do golf once a week. So I try to get out and do things, but sometimes I just want to be alone and not talk to anybody. So it just depends on the day and how I'm feeling. We're so blessed to be where we are in this community because people help us, in the little area that we're in. They're there to help us. We have a lot of different people we can call on because we don't have any family here. So so that's been a big blessing.
LCFA's lung cancer patient advocates are tireless champions, raising awareness about lung cancer, the importance of research, and life-saving value of getting screened early. They're not just patient advocates, they're educators. As advancements in treatment and care continue to accelerate, these advocates are often the ones helping journalists across the country understand what's changing and why it's so important.
Considering that I have survived now over 7 years with lung cancer, and I say over 7 years only because it's been that long since my treatments ended, and I have the most aggressive form, small cell lung cancer. I was in contact with a columnist at the Chicago Sun-Times newspaper, and it took about 6 months till I got him to really wake up and listen to me and hear what I was saying. And then I had a full-page article about my story in the Sun-Times. The most exciting part of that was some man who wrote a letter to the editor thanking the writer for writing that article about the grandmother who thanks her granddaughter for saving her life. That's a whole other story. But that is something that's very special to me, that he took the time and that he didn't include any of the screening info I gave him, but he did include the radon information I gave him.